Is this a story where the artist has been using AI and hiding it this entire time, or is the inconsistencies that people see due to an upscaler? So let's delve into the situation. And a little warning, the artist's artwork is a little spicy. And again, don't send hate to any parties involved. Essentially, this artist posts a photo of 4 drawings of feet of different gacha game characters. And a lot of people are hyping it up. It's in a very, very like semi-realism anime style, one that is really popular with the Twitter artists, and also one that's really popular with like AI scammers. So a lot of people were harping on the quality, being like, wow, this looks so good. You draw so amazing. This post went viral. It's at 1 million views. And then there are a bunch of little comments that cropped up in the comment section being like, yo, so what AI generator do you use? What AI do you use? Like, blah, 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 blah. This art looks very suspicious. And then people were taking a closer look at this artist's artwork and looking at points of the artwork that look very odd. So a user writes, I don't mind the AI, but hey, artist, stop posting work in progresses. You're not fooling anyone. So they look through some images of their artwork and kind of highlight aspects of it. Here we have a character that's laying down. They're doing what looks like the splits, I think, and they're wearing a brown top with kind of longer sleeves, but there is like a draping portion of the fabric that extends beyond where either sleeve would exist, which I agree is odd. The big thing when it comes to like, is this AI, is it not? I always say this in my videos, right? Just in case you haven't seen it before. But one, you want to look at the full picture because if it's a one or two things, it could just be human error. Humans make mistakes. Sometimes humans draw 6 fingers on one hand. It accidentally happens. If you make 1,000 art pieces, one of them you might accidentally muck up, right? There's forgiveness for that. But you really have to ask yourself, like, would a human draw this? 2, are there AI looking mistakes? And does it happen very frequently throughout multiple of their art pieces or a high percentage of their art pieces? 3, what's their posting frequency? If they're posting like every single day fully rendered images, well, do they have a backlog to make this make sense? Is that adding up? And a lot of other things. So this is a really interesting choice. There are some other interesting elements with this artist's artwork, and we'll see this throughout the artwork, but they have a tendency to draw multiple eyelids on only one eye. And that is something that you will see with a lot of like AI images. This eye has 1, 2, 3 eyelids, and the left eye has 1. Again, like you have to ask yourself, would a human do that? Yes, there are people with 3 eyelids on one eye. Sometimes if I rub one eye too hard, that happens, but you don't often see artists drawing that. Here we have another piece, 2 characters kind of like making a heart with their hands, except this hand, the pink fingernail has like another long line extending behind that. It's almost as if she has like a massive pink French tip on only one finger. Another thing that you kind of look at is consistency within the character design, especially because this artist tends to draw characters from popular IPs like anime, gacha games, etc. This is, I believe, Mern from Dress Up Darling, I think. But regardless, 2 earrings, right? The earring on the left is not the same as the earring on the right. She has a hoop in the right ear and a stud in the left ear. Not saying you can have asymmetrical earrings because people do that. Kind of just interesting. Another one is, again, consistency of how things are drawn, especially in the same piece. 2 characters, 2 ears, both drawn very differently in the exact same art piece. Just again, interesting. This one is pretty damning. We have this character as she's holding kind of like 2 hands together, like one hand on the back of the other hand. The index finger just disappears. Her index finger is like missing after the first knuckle. So the tip of the finger, the other knuckle, all gone. Very interesting. And then again with the ear, because this ear is drawn very differently than the other 2 ears we saw in the previous piece. And like there's other elements of the artwork I'm not gonna mention because it's not relevant, right? But like here, there's a dot on the sleeve. That could just be human error. You accidentally made a brushstroke and it left there. So that's like a human error that you could easily explain away. Other oddities, like the missing finger, weird. This piece specifically is quite egregious because if you look at this hand here, there are way too many fingers on the other hand. Because if you have one hand on top of the other hand, right, your thumb is a really short finger. It won't be visible here. But if you look, you can see in the hand pose, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. There should only be 4 visible from this angle, right? If I'm trying to like recreate this hand pose here, you cannot see the thumb from that angle. You just can't. You would have to do some sort of like really arbitrary movement with the hand to see the thumb, and that would cause all of the top knuckles to then become visible. This just doesn't make sense. So in the same piece, we have 2 different finger ears, 1 ear on each hand. And I'm gonna be honest, you're telling me an artist of this caliber with this level of rendering, this level of anatomy, etc., can't get the fingers correctly on both hands of the same piece? Again, one-time mistakes do happen, but both hands. Not to mention these 2 fingers, the anatomy, it's just very off. Like the angle compared to these other three. And then if you look at this piece, there's even more oddities with the coloring because the clothing, she's wearing this like blue top and there's this like baby blue coloring happening. But inside the neck area, it's also baby blue, even though that's supposed to be the skin. So maybe the artist accidentally colored outside of the line. Maybe we have some more blue here. Like it's just a lot of AI looking errors all on the exact same piece. Like what are the odds you made this many specifically AI looking mistakes on one piece? Missing fingers, 6 fingers on one hand, and the blue extending beyond the top. Not to mention the top line, it disappears behind the hair and then it reappears, but like moved 3 millimeters over beneath it. This piece looks quite AI assisted, if you will. And it continues. This user adds, I was wondering how somebody got this good at drawing, but the more I looked at their account and they highlight even more oddities within the art pieces. Take a look at the eyelids again. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 eyelids on the right eye and 2 on the left. You just don't really see artists doing that. Another one at the earrings with details that don't match up, left earring versus right earring. This is very odd. And again, these are not like human errors because you have to think again, would a human draw the right earpiece completely differently from the left earpiece? They look very similar, but they're not the same. Another commenter adds that any Yae Miko fan, that's the character, would know that Yae Miko only has 2 diamond piercings per ear. So they note that there are 4 on the left ear and 3 on the right ear, which that's again odd. This is the other thing I was talking about in terms of character consistency, because if you are drawing fan art of characters, you would look up a reference photo of the character, but to consistently get really odd things incorrect about the character design is something you would see with AI generated imagery and not something that an artist hand draws. Again, I'm not saying you can't make a mistake here or there, but like every single piece has so many errors. Another one where there's odd details on this bow. So this one is a character called Columbina from Genshin as well. And then here again, we have lace, the lace crisscrossing in her hair, turning into a hair strand. Another lace crisscross turning into a hair strand. And a final thing to add is her mask. This is what Columbina's mask looks like. It's a very like crisscrossy diamond looking design. What is happening here? Especially over on the left eye. The right eye, you know, that makes sense. The left eye, what in the garbled mess is happening here? Again, when you ask yourself, would a human draw it like this? Would they draw it to make it look like it's completely overlapping each other in some aspects and then broken in other chunks? The diamonds don't even connect on this side, but they do on the other side, which is odd because it shows the artist can do it. Weird. A small other detail, but one thing I do notice with the like AI anime drawings is that they will have like sweat dripping from everywhere. There's like droplets dripping out of the hair strand, which is interesting. Some more pieces. Again, we have another hand with a random finger appearing that could possibly be the thumb. But again, like the angle of getting your thumb finger there, it's just awkward. More garbled mess on the hair strands happening over here on the shoulder. And then another character where there's a bunch of diamonds on the shoulder pad, except each diamond looks slightly different from the next one, but not in a way that makes sense. And here we have another hand. What is happening to the pinky finger? There's a pinky and there's webbing between the pinky and the finger, which is really odd. There's more. If you look through their artwork, there's a lot, again, of inconsistencies. This character is wearing Yor's earrings, Yor costume from Spy X Family. The 2 earrings are not the same. Yor's earrings do match left and right. Here we have another piece. This is Marin from Dress Up Darling, and she's got the elf ears. But look at the ear between the face and this side bang piece. What exactly is happening here? And there's like 1 earring, but only on this ear. Again, a human just wouldn't draw this. It just does not add up. It doesn't make sense. Another one, we have this piece. And if you look at the hands, maybe it's human error, but we've got a pinky that's half the length of the rest of the fingers. And again, you could argue human error from the angle. It's kind of like a hard angle to draw with the fingers here, maybe. This person is pretty good at anatomy from what it looks like. So it's just a bit interesting to see. But also what's also interesting is that once again, the design is wrong. So here, I believe this is Ganyu from Genshin Impact, and they're wearing the outfit of Uraraka from My Hero Academia, except the outfit is wrong. They have the headpiece on, and according to the Pure Good Heroes fandom, the first hero costume, she has that headpiece, but there's also like a face screen to it, and in the second costume, it becomes that sort of headband looking thing, which is what we see here, except the headband, like this earpiece when she wears it, there is no pink stripe on the bottom here. There's only pink appearing above the headpiece here. And this is her second hero costume, where as you can see, there is like kind of a belt around her waist, but does not connect in the middle. But in this costume, she actually has a belt that does connect in the middle. And that's an element from her first hero costume, where again, the headpiece does have a screen, but it doesn't have that pink stripe either. So it's again, just really interesting because they draw so much art of fandoms and like characters from pieces of IP PM media, but somehow all of their outfits are almost there, but also wrong. Because I feel like if you're referencing an outfit that Yura Raka would wear, you would either choose like the first costume or the second costume. Maybe the artist made a choice to mix and match, but even then they also got it wrong again. So anyways, I could keep going, but there are a lot of inconsistencies in the artist's work, and a lot of people in the comment section were pointing it out as well. But for OP, who made that call-out post, a lot of people were actually not agreeing with OP, being like, there's not enough accusations, there's not enough points, you're making baseless accusations at a poor artist and drawing a lot of attention to them for no reason. Why don't you DM them? In which OP was like, I can't DM them, you have to be verified to actually message this artist. You know, other people like, hey, they're tiny mistakes, it's pretty hard to notice, I'm very anti-AI, but there's not enough evidence for this artist specifically. And then another person in the comments drops a photo of Columbina's mask. The commenter was like, oh, never mind, I take it back, that is actually really messed up. What's also interesting is this artist has posted a couple work in progresses. So this is a work in progress they posted February 17th. And by the way, this artist has only been posting on Twitter since February. And they stated publicly on their Twitter that, yeah, you know, they have been drawing for a while, but they only started posting on Twitter starting February after being convinced by some friends. This is another work in progress that they've posted. This is another one where they switched over to Clip Studio Paint. And this is the final work in progress that they've posted, where here you can see there are a lot of layers that are open. So I mean, there are work in progresses, which with a lot of those AI accounts, you know, they don't have any. So having some work in progresses can be a situation where it clears your name because it's like, okay, well, here are some examples of you drawing, possibly, right? But other people in the comments were saying like, hey, you know, this doesn't necessarily prove that you drew it yourself. A lot of people can take an AI generated image and reverse engineer it to go and get a sketch from that to try to make it look like you drew it when you didn't. So people were saying, oh, can you stream your art, blah, 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 blah. And now what does the artist have to say about all of this? Because all of a sudden, a lot of people are pointing fingers at them and accusing their work of being AI generated. So the artist says, there's no tricks. I'm pretty open about my previous use of tiled upscalers that use AI, but I've moved on from that for a bit now because of the detail discrepancies and discourse it causes. As for frequency, I joined Twitter in February. I didn't start drawing in February, but I get the initial suspicion. And the artist adds, I don't mind the conversation to be had around previous use of the upscaler. There's much I learned from having them and a lot I wish I hadn't used it for. However, I don't appreciate the picking up a pencil and spending time on something and then getting stuff like this in the mentions. Again, referring to AI accusations. Now, about the AI upscalers, this is not the first time there's a situation where an artist was accused of using AI and they've stated, oh, but I used AI upscalers, so that's why my art looks really chopped. It's not because I used AI to generate the image, but I drew it correctly. The upscaler was why it looked messed up. First off, I don't believe that defense, honestly, for the reason that there are too many errors that don't make sense in the argument of, oh, but it was just an upscaler. Because like, would an upscaler add 2 earrings to the left ear and 1 earring to the right ear so that there's a total of 3 extra earrings on this character? Would an upscaler completely chop off only 1 finger, only the index finger, none of the other fingers are chopped off, and add an extra finger on the other hand? Like, would an AI upscaler suddenly give your character a web pinky? I could maybe buy the excuse of like an AI upscaler adding artifacts or something, which is why it looks a little crunchy. Webbing to fingers, removing fingers, and adding extra fingers, I really don't think the AI upscaler does that. And for more context about how this artist operates, they have a fully rendered piece about every 3 days, which is really, really high frequency. Now, if you want to believe this artist, right, they do state that they've been drawing since before February, which you would have to if this is the level of quality of art that you draw at. So they could possibly be posting backlog. But then we add the extra context of the fact that they have a Patreon, specifically an NSFW Patreon, where you can subscribe to get more, you know, sus images of the artwork. So beyond just 3 posts a day, there's also more posts, you know, different variations, etc., being posted to their Patreon. So it's even more art than 3 a day. And again, with the Patreon, I'm not saying every artist ever with a Patreon means that you are generating images with AI. That's not true at all. There are plenty of legit artists with legit Patreons. But this is a common MO you see with a lot of the AI scammers. They LARP as a real artist. They post a lot of, for lack of a better word, really voluptuous anime women, and then have an NSFW Patreon, and that's what a lot of them do. The posting frequency, the Patreon, and all of the errors in their artwork alongside the claim of, oh, but like it was a generator upscaler, which is why it looks this way. I personally don't buy it. I'm curious about your thoughts though, because the artist is gung ho about the fact that all of these errors are actually just due to the upscaler and that they're open for conversation about it. It was something they did in the past and they regret it. I'm curious about your thoughts at the end of the day. Do you think this artist is legitimately drawing all these pieces and they're being falsely accused due to the AI upscaler they used in their past garbling up their work? Or do you think it's a situation where they were generating stuff with AI and are trying to LARP as a real artist when they're not? I would say the final thing is, if the true issue is the fact that you used an AI upscaler and that is why it looks like AI chewed up and spat out your artwork, then why not just post the low res version? You know, the original version without pre-upscaler. You must have access to it, right? I rarely do you see artists deleting every single working file the moment they post the artwork so that you can clear the air. You know, oh, here's the original version. Yeah, there's a finger here. And yeah, it didn't look like this. I'm just not buying it because this was an excuse that I've already seen before with a different artist a while ago. And it was very, very likely confirmed that that person was using AI. So this kind of sounds like it's a similar story. But again, curious about your thoughts. And again, don't send hate to any parties involved. With that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide. And I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays and Saturdays at 6 p.m., Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch y'all there or in another video. Peace.